Good morning and welcome to this lesson. My name is Teacher Man as usual, and I've come to take you through P6 English Term 1. P6 English Term 1. We've learned a lot so far. Those who are following using our workbooks, you know we have already reached page 18, and we believe you are able to deal with the activities you find in that workbook, following the guidance you are getting from these YouTube lessons. So today our focus will be on something different from what we saw last time, and today we want to look at a structure pattern. I told you every topic has different aspects, and among them we have the vocabulary part, the structure, as well as the comprehension and composition. So for today our attention must be focusing on the structure, and that structure is, in fact there are two in one, because they almost mean the same, meaning if you master the use of mastings, you should not deceive yourself that you have challenges using should not. They are used exactly the same way. So we are saying we use the above structure patterns in negative sentences. We use the above structure patterns only in negative sentences, just like you see N apostrophe T, which stands for not. Then should not also shows a negative in it, and that is not. The difference is this is contracted or shortened, this one appears in full form. So we use the above patterns in negative sentences only, and they're used to strongly warn someone against doing something. We use mustn't or should not to strongly warn someone against doing something, and that something must obviously be bad. Okay, let's go straight to our examples where we are being told to rewrite the following sentences using 1 or A, mustn't, and B, using should not. They are the very words we have in our pattern above. So we are going to construct sentences. To each question you will find, we require two answers. And where one will be using mustn't, and the second one will be using should not. So A is mustn't, B is should not. Question 1 is driving under the influence of alcohol is bad. Driving under the influence of alcohol is bad. Rewrite the sentence using mustn't. Use mustn't. What did you get as our answer? You mustn't drive under the influence of alcohol. You mustn't drive under the influence of alcohol. We are warned now. Remember the words is bad, and now left out, because if we tell you you mustn't do something, it means it is bad. You mustn't drive under the influence of alcohol. Our answer B, which requires us to use should not, is you should not drive under the influence of alcohol. You should not drive under the influence of alcohol. That is about question 1. Question 1, those are the two answers we expected you to give us. Question 2, which is our last example, is it is not advisable for children to play on roads. It is not advisable for children to play on roads. Our answer A, what are we required to do in answer A? We use mustn't. Use mustn't. And our answer is children mustn't play on roads. Children mustn't play on roads. Then 2 is children should not play on roads. I repeat, children should not play on roads. We are required to use should not, as seen there. Simple as it appears, I believe those two examples should be enough. Yeah, things look self-explanatory. I wish you success as you do that activity on page 18, which goes up to page 19. There's an activity about that lesson, and that's on page 18 and 19. After doing that activity, we have a composition, and that is about a jumbled story. Meaning after this activity, you'll try out that jumbled story. Yes, remember to number properly. Always hand in jumbled stories. After confirming, you have already numbered your sentences as they were numbered by the examiner or by your teacher. The teacher has set a question and he has numbered from number 1 to 10. For you write, you number to number 7 and you get lost if not tired. Don't get tired of numbering because it's always necessary. There are children who have this, should I call it a habit? Maybe a trick, maybe a what? A system or a method of answering the jumbled story while doing or thinking of other titles. If I've given a jumbled story without a title, it's not a must for you to formulate a title. With or without your title, the teacher's concern will be about the right order of words, the right flow of sentences, and if it is okay, you may not be interested in the title. Then the issue of paragraphing. Paragraphing is like you're telling the teacher I made a mistake of not paragraphing, and yet that's never the requirement in that sentence, in that order of sentences. If you are to arrange them properly, with or without your paragraphs, with or without your title, the sentences will be marked as long as the flow is okay. So you have that activity about the jumbled story. I wish you success as you try it out. Nothing more to say about that. Then from that I want to take you to another part which requires us to use so that as our structure. So the jumbled story, answer the gaps, the space is provided there. Then after that, you'll follow me to this lesson which is about the use of so that. This is a structure. It's a structure. Like I told you, different as like now. Structure. So using so that, we talk of a specific pattern we must use. I'm sure if you're in P6, this should not be something strange. This kind of revision means you're supposed to write well, you punctuate your sentences, and you will find at first. Using so that. In this pattern, in this structure is, we are supposed to follow this pattern. Apply so, and after that so, think of an adjective that has been used in that sentence. After getting that adjective, think of that. Now, what if the sentence has no adjective in it? What do? Obviously, it must have an adverb. Think of so. After so, add that adverb. And after the adverb, add that. After that, you go ahead with other words as the sentence will be flowing. We have these sentences on the board. Examples, butwa. Yes, butwa. Butwa means poison. Should be a Uganda word, poison. Butwa drove very fast. Oh, Butwa drove very fast. He caused an accident. Butwa drove very fast. What happened? He caused an accident. Where is our answer? Let's try to find out, does it follow the pattern the teacher has talked about? If it doesn't, then we obviously know it is wrong. If it does, yeah, we can assess ourselves and we say it's right. So we see, Butwa drove, after so, we see first, and first is an adverb. Showing us how Butwa drove. So this is Butwa drove so fast. From so we have an adverb. Next, we have that. Yeah, that he caused an accident. Have we followed the pattern? The answer is obviously yes. So plus adverb plus that. So Butwa drove so fast that he caused an accident. And that's our answer. That's our answer. Next, what does this mean? It means just after so. The 3 dots you see here, or the 3 dashes you see here, are representing either an adjective or an adverb. Don't forget that. Example 2, which will be our last example. A word to the wise is enough, as the saying goes. The traffic officer is very kind. He can forgive the reckless drivers. I repeat, the traffic officer is very kind. He can forgive the reckless drivers. Who are reckless drivers? Those must be the careless ones. So careless is the same as reckless. I pray that you find it in a certain passage in section B, if not a poem, requiring you to write the sentence giving another word. Not writing the sentence. To give another word mean the same as reckless as used in the passage of poem. And that is careless. So the traffic officer is very kind. He can forgive the reckless drivers. Rewrite the sentence using so that. Answer: the traffic officer is so kind that he can forgive the reckless drivers. What is important is to make sure this pattern appears somewhere in your answer. The pattern of so plus adjective, if not adjective, think of an adverb, then plus that. The traffic officer is so kind that he can forgive the reckless drivers. After so, what do we see? We see kind. Then the word very. You may be wondering, teacher, where have you thrown the word very in the first sentence? It's not seen. In the second sentence, it's not seen. What does that mean? So and very have the same meaning. So and very have the same meaning. So when I use so, I may not need to use very. The traffic officer is so kind. After kind, which is an adjective, you go to that. So kind that. Meaning our answer is okay. The traffic officer is so kind that he can forgive the reckless drivers. Do not use so with very. You may use it later in your studies, but not at primary level. Primary level, we don't need so because so means the same as very. Basic English. Exercise. We have an activity about that, and that should be on our page 23. Page 23, you'll find an activity concerning what to see, or what the teacher has been teaching about, using so that. And after that activity, there is something which is a passage. This passage is not different from the passages we have been looking at. You'll find it on page 24, the passage on page 24. As usual, read it carefully, and then answer the questions about it in full sentences. Questions about the passage can only be answered if you have read it well and you've understood it. We have a 3-paragraph passage, very easy for you, I understand. You answer according to the tenses. Then the other thing you don't need to forget is to indicate the source of your answer. If you have read the passage, for example, in paragraph 2, you've seen the answer to question 8. Go there and underline those very words that have shown you the answer to question 8. Go to the paragraph, underline those words. After that, copy them, following the tense, and answer your question 8. Simple as that. You do that. There's another number above the passage, which I see, asking us to suggest a suitable title for the passage. Suggest a suitable title for the passage. And this title should be written in capital letters throughout. Never write your title in small letters. It may be okay to write it in small letters, but there are other rules we need to apply, and we don't want to bother ourselves doing that. So the simplest way to formulate the title is using capital letters only. Do not punctuate, do not add anything, simply write capital letters throughout, and things will be easy on your side. Having done that, I'll take you to another structural pattern, and that is using so. Using so. So is the pattern we want to look at now. How do we use so? When do we use it? And which kinds of sentences? That's where we are. All day, so I got tired. He drove recklessly, so he was arrested. In those sentences you hear, you'll say something. And that's what is talked about here. The structure above is used to introduce the result of an action. Yes, we use so to introduce the result of an action. This so is different from the pattern so that I don't even want to write it here because it may make some of you get a bit lost. We are saying we use so alone, not that, to introduce the result. The result, I was tired, so I went to sleep. So the result of being tired was going to sleep. You introduce going to sleep using so as the conjunction. Next, he drove recklessly, so he was arrested. The result of driving recklessly was that he was arrested. He drove recklessly, so he was arrested. So we use so to introduce the result of an action, like you had. Let's look at the sentence examples in written form. James wanted to buy a car. He went to S.M. Bond. James wanted to buy a car. He went to S.M. Bond. Because he wanted to buy it, the result of wanting and wanting and wanting was he was driven by that desire or that urge to buy a car. This resulted into going to SM Bond. So answer is James wanted to buy a car, so he went to SM Bond. Check the way I've punctuated my sentence. I see 2 punctuation marks. One which is obvious in the full stop, and the other one which is also obvious with so is a comma before so. Put a comma just before the word so. Do we need another example? Maybe one, maybe 2. We have this. Yuko wanted to arrive early. What do we have? He used a boda. He used a boda. I told you some time back, nowadays the word boda is not strange in English. It's a perfect English word. He used a boda. Although it was got from your country, Uganda, East Africa. Just like they took away matoke, they took away mandas, and they are now perfect words in the English dictionary. Matoke, mandas, boda are now there, well placed in the dictionary. So you wanted to arrive early. And as a result, he used a boda. So what's your answer in? Join using so. Yes, just so. We said you use so to introduce the result. And our answer will be Yuko wanted to arrive early so he used a boda. So introduces the result. One important thing is missing, and that is the punctuation mark. Should be a comma there before so, like we agreed. So introduce the result of wanting to arrive early. If you want to arrive early somewhere, you have got to use a very quick means of transport, and in this case, a boda. Sorry for this error. I know those who have been watching have already seen it. Boda. Yes. Correct that. If you have not yet seen it, we have already noticed it. It was an error. That's English. Okay. Having done this is our second example. And what do we need to do next? I think we deserve an activity about this simple work. And that activity is on page 25. Page 25 of our workbooks. After that, there's another huge activity. Yes, this should be the end of topic. Yeah. So we are seeing a test, end of subtopic here. And that is safety on the road, traffic danger, and traffic dangers. They are all given there. We have a topical test going from page 26. This requires you to sit, settle, and answer with great care. From page 26 to page, let me see where it ends. Yeah, it's a topical test. It ends on page 32. From page 26 to 32, after doing the activity about using the soap, you'll have a topical test. And this marks the end of our topic, which is safety on the road. It has a lot of grammar, a lot of vocabulary questions. Then short forms are also provided, homophones, structures, must, so as, so that, should not. The way I've been looking at them, I wish you success as you attempt all those questions. Next we have a passage, a subgraph, plus, lastly, in that topical test, a guided composition, filling using the given words. And that's the end of our lesson today. In our next lesson, we will be discussing ideas concerning debating. Which language you're supposed to use in a debate. That's our next lesson. Don't miss. Continue viewing and learning with us. Thanks for watching. This is the end of our lesson today. My name is Teacher Manley. For those of you who are attending lessons for the first time, P6 English. See you next time in the topic, debating. Goodbye.